Now we'll make the fourth figure. Select the ellipse tool, hold Ctrl and draw a proportional circle. Let's deactivate Snap to Objects and Alignment Guides option. Go to View, then Snap to and click on Snap to Objects. Then go to View and click on Alignment Guides. Press Shift and F2 and then F3. Let's change this figure to curves. Switch to Shape tool. Select all nodes and click twice on the Add Nodes icon. We can also add nodes by pressing the plus key on the numeric keypad. Click on the side to deselect nodes. The figure will stay selected. Press F2 and select an area to zoom. Because of the figure's outline, we can't really see the nodes. Let's switch to wireframe view. Now, modify the position of the top nodes. Try to make the figure look like a tree. In a while, we'll try to do this in the same way that we made the sinusoid in the third figure. Delete the bottom node. Select the two bottom nodes and convert them to cusp nodes. Select one node at a time. Hold Ctrl and move the direction line handles up to make a straight line. Now move the direction line handles to the left to make the bottom of the figure look like a tree trunk. Our figure is ready. Let's now try to make it again, this time using a different technique. So, we can make it in the same way that we did the second and the third figure. Let's revise this process. Create a rectangle, switch to Shape tool, select two bottom nodes and click on Convert to Curve icon. Add nodes by clicking twice on the Add Nodes icon. Select the second node, hold Shift and select the fourth node. Move the nodes up by pressing the up arrow key. So we can make a similar sinusoid as before. Let's try it. Switch to the ellipse tool, hold Ctrl and draw a proportional circle. Now switch to Shape tool and select all nodes. Add nodes by clicking on the Add Nodes icon twice. Select this node. Now, hold Shift and select every second node. We've already talked about scaling nodes, remember? Click on the Stretch or Scale Nodes icon. Now move your cursor over the top right transformation point. Hold Shift, drag the transformation point towards the centre of the figure. Remember to first release the mouse button and then Shift. This way the figure will keep its proportions. When we click on a node to edit it, the scale handles will now disappear. Let's click on the Stretch and Scale Nodes icon again. Hold Shift and drag the transformation point towards the centre of the figure. As you can see, the preview of the figure we're creating is slightly different than the ending effect. So this is how we can convert a circle path to a sinusoid. Switch to Shape tool and create a tree trunk by changing the positions of the bottom nodes. Select two bottom nodes and convert them to cusp nodes. This way we can change the position of one direction line without affecting the other. Press Shift and F4. The next figure for our project is ready. Move this figure to the side. We'll downscale the rest of the figures so it'll take less space on our screen. Activate the proportion lock by clicking on it. Let's try something new. We'll change the size of the figure by modifying these percentage values. Change it to 80%. As you can see, we've deactivated the proportions lock by mistake. Press Ctrl and Z, click on the proportions lock and change its value to 80%. Select the second figure, change this value to 80% and press Enter. Let's place these figures in each corner of our page. Now we've more space in our document and we can move on with our project. Let's create the last figure. Switch to the ellipse tool and draw a circle. Select the circle and convert to curves. Go to Arrange menu and click on Convert to Curves. Switch to Shape tool and select 3 top nodes. Click twice on the Add Nodes icon to symmetrically add more nodes to our figure. Now drag this node up to modify the shape of our figure. Try to create the first 3 fingers. Of course, we can add more nodes. Just click twice on the path to add a new node. Now, drag the node up to create another finger. It's entirely up to us now how many fingers we'll make. I think I'll settle with 5. Select these 2 nodes and delete them. Move these 2 nodes, select the node on the right and delete it. Select 2 bottom nodes and convert them to cusp nodes. Select the bottom right node and drag the direction line handle up. Select the node on the other side and use its direction lines to modify the path. Keep working on the hand until you think that it's ready. We've already talked about node types, but let's make a quick revision. First is symmetrical node. These nodes, both sides of the direction line, move simultaneously and will always have the same length. We can select several nodes and convert them all by clicking on the icon once. The next type is the cusp node. We can now modify the position of each direction line separately. When we move one direction line, the other will stay in its place. This allows us to make sharp, pointy corners in our figure. The last type is the smooth node. This type is a variation of the symmetrical node. The only difference is that we can now change the length of both direction lines separately. That's the end of our revision. When we convert the cusp nodes to symmetrical nodes, the shape of the figure will change. The direction lines will be automatically changed. Press Shift and F4. So the next figure is ready. Let's position it here. Select the tree figure and downscale it. Don't worry if the lines of this figure now look like straight lines. Zoom in and you will see that everything is okay. Let's create another figure. Draw a circle and convert it to curves. Let's add nodes manually. Click twice on the path to add a node. When the node is created, drag it to modify the shape of the figure. Don't worry too much about the shape. Everything can be edited later on. Click twice to add a new node and then drag it to form the path. Select these 2 nodes on the left. Let's convert them to cusp nodes. So our main aim here is to work on nodes and learn as much as we can about their types. As you can see, when we have a cusp node, we can modify the length and placement of each direction line separately. Just try not to make it too long or too short. Let's convert this node to a smooth node. Just don't do it like this. Drag the direction line handle and place it that close to the node. Of course, it can be done. We didn't break anything. It just makes our work more difficult. If we want to have a pointy ending, we can just convert the node to cusp node. Now, we can modify placement of each direction line separately and create a nice pointy ending. Just try to play with these nodes. The more you practice, the better you get at it. Form the figure so it looks like this. Just remember not to place the direction line handles too close or too far from the node. Let's now make a fin. Don't make this direction line this long. It will make your work more difficult and the shape won't look that good. The figure won't be damaged, but it certainly can make your work more problematic. It's just better to create another node. Now, instead of making a really long direction line handle, we can just move the newly created node. Let's move this one and this one. Select these three nodes and move them together. Try to place the nodes in some characteristic places. If we don't like the placement of the node, we can simply delete it. Now, we can add a new node, placed differently than the old one. Let's add one between these two nodes. Now, move this node towards the center of the figure. Convert it to cusp nodes and modify the path by changing the length of the direction line handles. Drag this direction line handle, and this one as well. The bottom part already looks good. Let's convert this node to a cusp node. Well, we can also change it to a symmetrical node if we want. So, the best way to learn how to use these nodes is to just experiment and try each one. Let's now make the same figure but in a slightly different way. We'll use this technique quite a bit. We'll learn how to use the Bezier tool. Select the Bezier tool. Don't click and drag. Just click once to create a node. This way we can create a figure from several straight lines. Every time we click, a new node will be created and connected with the previous one with a straight line. Try to create the fish figure. Don't worry if it doesn't look as good as the previous figure. We'll edit it in a minute. To close it, click on the starting point. Now our figure is constructed only from straight lines. Let's change it. Switch to Shape tool, select all nodes and click on Convert to Curve icon. Now we can form our figure and make it look smoother. We can delete nodes, move them, add them, change the position of direction line handles. Just work with the nodes to create what we want. Delete a node if you think that there are too many points in the figure. When we delete a node, the line will automatically become smoother. Keep on forming the figure until you decide that it looks good. So, first we've made our figure constructed from straight lines. Then we converted these lines to curves and worked with the nodes to change the shape of the path. Of course, we can also drag the whole line segment. It's up to you. Experiment to find a technique that suits you most. A huge part of any graphic designer skills are just habits developed through constant experimenting and learning new ways. If we learn the program like that, our work becomes quicker and easier. So, my figure now looks like that. I think that we can say that it's ready. Let's just modify one more point. Move this here, you see? I'm just playing with these nodes, and the figure becomes better and better. It's what we've said before. Our aim is not to make a fish figure. It's just a way in which we learn how the various types of nodes work. By creating this figure, we've learnt something about all three types. We now know how to use the cusp node, symmetrical node, and smooth node. What's more, we now know how to add and delete nodes. Let's now choose one of the fishes we've made. I think I'll go with this one. Now we'll make the next object, the snail figure. Switch to the ellipse tool and draw a circle. Select the circle and convert it to curves. We'll try to learn several ways in which we can create this figure. Switch to Shape tool and start forming the bottom of the figure. Remember that our aim is to learn about Corel's tools and options, so pay attention to how and when we use each tool. This way, you'll ensure the success and use Corel like a professional graphic designer. Let's add some nodes. We're currently working in wireframe view. In this view, it's much easier to work with nodes and modify our figure. Let's switch to normal view for a minute. As you can see, the outline of the figures makes it difficult to see the nodes. But there's an easy solution for this problem. Switch to white cursor and change the width of the outline to hairline. Now the outline won't cover the nodes. We can see every node. But let's switch to wireframe view. It's the quickest and easiest way to see everything that we need to see. Switch to Shape tool. At the bottom of the figure, we've 3 nodes. Move the middle one up. Move your cursor up. Now we'll create 2 new nodes under the top one. Create one on the left and one on the right. Move these 2 nodes to the left. Now move the top node down. Add 2 new nodes and move them up. Select these 2 nodes and move them to the left. So we're making this snail using only 2 basic techniques, adding and moving nodes. Add another node and move it, and another one. Don't worry if your figure doesn't look good, just be patient. Add 2 more nodes and move them. 2 nodes here. Move them to right. Click twice to add new nodes here, and then move them. Add a new node here and move it. And the next one here. I think that's enough. So what can we do to make this look better? Select this bottom node. As you can see, there are 2 nodes placed not so far from the one we've selected. Delete the selected node by pressing the delete key. Now the line looks much smoother. Select these 2 nodes right here. Of course, the line will look different depending on where the selected nodes are. Let's delete these 2 nodes. Now, add 2 new nodes. Select these 2 and delete them. So, by deleting the nodes, we're making this path much smoother. Select these 2 and delete them. Add nodes here and here. Select the next pair and delete them. Of course, we need to experiment a little. Let's add 2 nodes here. Now select these nodes and delete them. Select these nodes and delete them. The snail is finally ready.